What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Finance Friday. My name is Coach Susan. I'm your host as usual, and I'm very happy to have you here. Now, last week we had a very interesting conversation on how to identify viable side hustles that we can monetize. And I promised you guys that today I was going to talk to you guys about how you can use social media to make money. My focus today is to just give you some very practical tips and pointers that I personally used to build my social media and to eventually start making money from social media. So I want to just talk you through how to turn your social media presence and how to turn your social media followers into money. Now, I know that sounds very fun and exciting, so I'm not gonna keep you any longer. Let's get into it. Before I get into the first step of how you can use social media to make money, I think I need to explain, for example, or just to take you through how my journey or my story has been in terms of starting to make money on social media. If you've probably had this story, just fast forward like 2 seconds from now. But in case you are new here, around 2019, I lost my job as an investment analyst. I was working in an investment firm. And then, of course, in 2020, COVID came up and I wasn't able to apply for jobs and start getting jobs. To cut the long story short, through some help of some mentors, some research that I was also doing, I ended up stumbling on the idea of financial literacy content creation. And I started creating content around financial literacy, specifically tailor-made for the Kenyan market and the Pan-African market as well, just so that we can start getting resources that are tailor-made for us. Sometimes when you go on the internet and you're trying to watch content around personal finance, you get personal finance content that is probably meant for the Western market or people who live in the United States or Canada. So I wanted for Africans to have a platform that is very well tailored and broken down in very simple, practical steps for them to start understanding financial literacy. So that is how my journey started. As we speak right now, I've built an Instagram platform that has around 119,000 followers. And I did that since 2021 to date. So that's around maybe 3 years. On this platform here on YouTube, which I've had from around late 2021, I believe, coming into 2022. Now we are at around over 90,000 subscribers. We are actually on our journey to 100,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. How have I been able to monetize those two platforms? Number one, I've been able to monetize my YouTube channel because as I keep putting out these videos, of course, I get paid a little bit of money by YouTube because of the views and the and the engagement on my platform. But then every so often, I will also get a brand that aligns with my messaging, which is mostly financial literacy and personal development, sponsoring some of my videos. So I also make money from some sponsorships. Those are not the most common. It's not a monthly thing, but when they do, they usually will give me good money. I've also had companies reach out to me to train their staff, to attend, let's say, a panel discussion. I've had speaking engagements come my way because of this brand that I have built here, Susan Wanjiko, on YouTube. So someone will just call my assistant or my company and ask if I can appear on a particular event, either as a speaker, as a keynote speaker, or even as a panelist, and I've gotten paid to do that. On top of that, I also use my social media to sell some of my coaching services as well as my financial literacy products. So I just wanted to kind of establish that whatever I'm going to be talking to you about today is something I'm already doing myself, which I feel puts me at an interesting position to be able to give you a pointer here or there in terms of how you can actually monetize your social media. Now, the first thing that I had to do, that I encourage everyone to do, is to build a strong personal brand. All right. Now, I used to fear social media a lot because I thought that being a lifestyle influencer or posting all the tiny little details of my life every single day was the only way that I could make money on social media. Now, I'm a very private person. There are things in my life that I prefer not to put out in the open, some personal, like for example, my romantic relationships, anything to do with family. I prefer not to, let's say, like post my day-to-day activities, my house, I'm cooking this, I'm eating this. So a lot of what I used to see on social media was people posting their day-to-day, every tiny little detail of their life. And that's one of the reasons I had never thought that I could actually ever monetize social media, because if that's the only way to make money, then I'm absolutely checking out. However, as I kept exposing myself around 2019, 2020 and learning about social media, I realized that lifestyle influencing, if at all it is not your thing, is not the only way to monetize social media. It's not the only way to make money on social media. I have found that there's an even greater way of building a monetizable social media platform or a social media presence. And how you do that is by building a strong personal brand. Now, that might sound very complicated for some of us, so I'd like again to break it down into something very less technical or practical for you guys. Now, for me, I define a personal brand as something very simple, or how to even identify what your personal brand would be on social media can be as simple as asking yourself this one question: what would I like to be known for? So if you're here and you're trying to figure out, so what's a personal brand? How do I even land on it? That's the most important question. What would I want to be known for? When you think about yourself, even 5 years from now, 10 years from now, don't limit yourself and think you'll only just have a few followers. Guys, to be honest, when I started my YouTube, actually my Instagram content creation journey, I was slightly under 900 followers. When I put up my first video, maybe around April, May 2020, smack in the middle of COVID, I had 900 followers, guys. And now 4 years later, we are already speaking 119,000 followers. And not once did I have to kind of like, do a whole day's vlog and do vlogs every single day of my life and where I went and what I ate and whatnot. I just asked myself, if I was to go on social media, what would I want to be known as? And I clearly defined that for myself. For me, I wanted to be known as the go-to authority, right? Or as an authority leader on matters personal finance and financial literacy. So not just finance, in terms of the technical bit, but like I clearly defined, like I'd want to be the go-to person. If someone wants something broken down to them, because sometimes personal finance can be very jargon, it can be very technical. So I wanted, especially for the Kenyan market, I wanted them to, for me to be their go-to person for, explaining personal finance and financial literacy in very simple terms, okay? So I also started immediately creating. When I figured that out, I was like, okay, if this is what is going to be my personal brand, then let me start creating content that is very simple, that is practical. And if you guys have been on this channel long enough, you guys know that is all I've actually endeavored to do. I don't overcomplicate budgeting or even investing or saving. I break it down into very simple, practical steps. And that's because that's what I want to be known for. I want to be known for as the person who made it so simple and practical for people to now start getting financial literacy. Not only did I start creating content, but I also became better at personal finance myself. I also decided that as much as I do not want to expose all areas of my personal life, I also discovered that, I also needed to be vulnerable in some areas of my life, which is one of the reasons why I've been very open and honest with you guys about my journey. I've talked to you guys about how I came up in poverty, how my background is. I've shared with you guys that I'm also one of the people who deals with quite a bit of black tax. I also struggled with a lot of debt before I became debt-free. I lost my job, and by the time I was losing my job, can you imagine, as a finance person, I did not have any savings, I didn't have any investments, and I was deep in debt. And all of those things, I have become honest and vulnerable with my followers and even with the audience here on YouTube because it is part of building my personal brand. I don't want to just be this robotic person that talks about money and is highly unrelatable or inaccessible. I wanted for people to see an example of someone who understands poverty, someone who's been through black tax and is still going through it, someone who's been through debt and was able to come out of it. I also wanted to serve as an example. So that is one very simple way of how to build an authentic personal brand. I think sometimes personal branding is sold as a very generic thing. It's like all you need to do is take fancy photos and create, fancy videos and very curated content. While that may work for like some lifestyle or beauty influencers, I feel like if you're in the business of providing a service, if you're in the business of providing a product and you would really like to connect with your audience, because that's how you start making money. People sometimes do not buy products and services. People buy people. Okay, so I have had people who have bought my products and my services simply because I was the one who was selling them, and they feel that they have a connection with me and that they vibe with my messaging, my personality, maybe my honesty, my transparency, my vulnerability. All this is feedback that I have gotten. So if you want to start making money on social media, you might want to build a relatable, authentic brand. Not everything has to be super curated. Not everything has to be super edited. Sometimes all you have to do is show up with your authentic story, with your authentic personality, and let the people who will get attracted to you get attracted to you. Now, one thing I need to say is that another reason you need to stop impressing and stop being a person who you are not on social media is because you cannot sustain it for the long term. If I was a fake version of myself than what I've been in the 4 years that I have been very active and visible online, it would have already come out. You cannot sustain a fake personality or a fake persona or a fake personal brand for far too long. So you might want to show up as your most authentic self. As much as there are so many people that I know and that have been kind enough to communicate with me and tell me that they really love me and they love my work and they love what I do, it's not everyone. There are people who completely vibe with Susan Wanjiko, and there are people who do not understand for the life of them why anyone watches my content, why anyone buys my products or services, why anyone would even want to work with me. And that is okay. You are not everyone's cup of tea, so please show up as authentically as possible. Another thing that I would say under personal branding, there's so much to say under personal branding. I think it is to also define for yourself how you would like to carry yourself. So sometimes I see people, I've also had to make decisions around how I would love to carry myself here on social media. For me, I love that as much as I stay vulnerable and relatable, I still maintain some professional boundaries. So again, there are things you'll probably never see me posting on social media. I do avoid getting into say like some discussions around gossip and maybe even sometimes politics and whatnot. So I always say I always tell people, pay attention to what you're posting on social media. If you do decide, for example, and I'm a woman, I like dressing nicely and looking very good, but there's a reason why I don't show up like on my social media platforms, for example, with, all my cleavage outside and, there's a place and a time for that. You'll probably meet me in another place, maybe if I'm out with my person or I'm just out for dinner and I'm dressed all nicely. But when I'm sat here on this channel and we are talking money, personal development, I don't want the focus to be on like other things. So I also ensure that I speak appropriately, I dress appropriately, I pay attention to what I'm posting, etc. Guys, your personal brand is so important. I keep telling people that your personal brand is prime real estate. It is the one thing that will have people buying from you. It is the one thing that will have corporates interested in you. It is the one thing that will have you command some respect in the industry. So it's very, very important to start by defining and understanding what you would want to be known for and what you would want your personal brand to look like in terms of your image online, how you present yourself, your messaging, and most importantly, again, I will repeat, what you would actually want people to know you for in the medium term to long term. All right? Now, guys, having a personal brand is not enough to make you sustainable income on social media, which makes step number 2 very, very important, guys. You must have a product or a service that you are selling or you're offering in order for you to make money on social media. I'll put a caveat here. Unless you're getting paid to show us your lifestyle and to endorse brands and products and services, then, what I'm just saying is that if you are not an influencer, if you're not a celebrity that brands are already working with, and that's not the route you want to take, you must ensure that on top of building that personal brand and that online persona or personality, you must ensure that you have a product or a service. Now, this is going to probably sound very controversial, but I'll tell you my honest opinion about why I'm not necessarily or particularly drawn to only just doing lifestyle influencing. Now, have you ever heard of the phrase that you must spend money to make money? I feel like because most of us have just seen social media influencers like the celebrities making money, I feel like that generally promotes this whole aspect of wanting to fake it till you make it, or even sell a lie, right? So for these brands, for example, for a hair brand, for example, to start working with an influencer, that influencer has probably spent quite a bit of money buying expensive human hair, showcasing how she installs the wigs and all of that. So that maybe one of these brands who has seen her because she's visible can now approach her and tell her, "You, can you also advertise our hair?" So you see, this person has actually had to spend quite a bit of money doing some of this content to make herself discoverable to some of them. And this applies to any other area of influencing. I usually feel like even with influencing, it is not one of the most sustainable ways to make, again, a sustainable source of income on social media. And I'll tell you why. I've seen influencers come up. And then especially when the new age TikTok influencers came in, because I've been involved in a couple of brand campaigns and whatnot, you find that someone has spent so many years building their audience and becoming a lifestyle influencer, only for someone maybe younger, prettier, to come in more creative with these fresh ideas. And a brand that would have paid this big personality, say Susan Wanjiko, 700,000 for a campaign, will now go for the TikTok sensation, the young TikTok sensation, and pay her probably just 100,000 to do the same job. So you find that, in fact, if you observe, a lot of our influencers and celebrities are slowly converting from just having that as their full-time source of income. And you're seeing a lot of them now taking advantage of their name, their social media presence, and their following to start selling us products and service. So if you want to actually prove my theory, guys, I will assure you, look at how many social media influencers or lifestyle influencers eventually, after doing influencing for a couple of months or years, will eventually start either selling us merchandise or a skincare line or hair or clothes. What are they doing? They are taking advantage of their personal brand and the presence they've built to be able to sell us some products or services. So if you're a beginner, right, I would advise, you don't have to necessarily take that very long route of exposing your day-to-day or tiny little details of your life. Again, if that's not what you're comfortable with, because I know there are people who are comfortable with that. And if lifestyle influencing is really your gig, go ye and conquer. There's nothing wrong with that. But for most people, it takes quite a bit. Maybe you don't have the money. Maybe you don't have an aesthetically pleasing house. Maybe you don't have content, and we don't want you not to start clout chasing so that you can have followers. So you might want to think around building my personal brand. What product or service can I offer? Now, in case you did not watch my video from last week, I took you guys through a process of identifying skills, gifts or talents that you can monetize. So in case you want to drop a comment, as a question down below in the comment section to ask me what can I offer as a product or service, before you do that, please check the description box. I have linked the video from last week where you can start the process of figuring out what to monetize. At this particular point, I want to assume that you've probably already figured out what you would want to sell on social media, all right? So why you must have a product or a service is because, guys, your audience on social media is actually a market base. So this is why people are making money on social media. While other people are, trolling people on social media, while other people are arguing on social media, a lot of people are using their social media audiences as a market base. And how you make money on social media using for that product or service is to figure out, okay, how you can convert your followers into customers for your product or service. Does that make sense? Now, guys, followers don't pay your bills. Subscribers on your YouTube channel do not pay your bills. What pays your bills is conversion. What is conversion? That someone who follows Susan Wanjiku on Instagram or who's a subscriber on her YouTube channel is super inspired by Susan Wanjiku or her content, that when they see me selling a coaching product or a course or a webinar, or I'm going to be attending a particular event, they actually are interested in paying for that product or for that service, all right? So why you want to have a product or a service is because now that allows you, it gives you a sort of a funnel to monetize your audience. Audiences are not monetized. Eyeballs cannot be monetized. But remember, eyeballs that are on Susan who has a product that she sells occasionally 3 times a week on her social media, or a service that she constantly talks about, that kind of audience can be monetized. So please stop thinking that all you have to do is just show up on social media, look pretty, have a strong personal brand, and the job is done. No, the job is not done if you do not have a product or a service. So it's very difficult to make money sustainably on social media if you don't already have a product or a service to sell to this audience. So remember, your audience is a customer base, and how to make money is to convert your followers or your subscribers from merely being your followers to becoming your customers, okay? So in the next point, I want to talk to you guys about how you can actually now convert your followers into customers. So let us talk about conversion. As we've said, if you just have eyeballs on your page, you just have Wandako who just want to know what you're doing with your life, you're not gonna sustainably make money. You want, as I said, your followers on social media or the eyeballs that are on your social media platforms are all potential buyers. And we've said that the goal here is to convert a bunch of followers who follow you, a bunch of followers who vibe with you into your loyal customers. And guys, this is where you hit the gold. If you can manage to build a personal brand on social media, build an audience on social media, have a product or a service that you offer on social media, and then instead of going to look for customers left, right, and center, you manage to convert your followers, your already existing followers, into loyal customers, you have struck gold at that particular moment, okay? And I've always told people, guys, I want you to look at people who have very powerful brand stories and powerful personal brands online. To be very honest with you, these people can pretty much sell you anything and you will buy. I've seen people selling really bad products, like bad hair, bad merchandise, talk about really bad investments, but because it is them who are selling and their followers are believers, they're very loyal to them, you know what happens? They actually end up selling these things and they're not even all that. Some of them, not all of them, okay? Don't come for me. But what I'm just trying to say is, imagine if it is possible to sell some standard things because you have loyal followers. What about if you're actually selling a product or a service that is solving day-to-day problems? I've seen, like, for example, one of the things I really love about, like, for example, food content creators that we have here in Kenya, oh my God, these people are doing so amazing. I used to watch people like Mandy Saru and I think even Kaluhi's Kitchen, and they would just do recipes, on how to make simple. I actually learned how to make simple drumsticks from Kaluhi's Kitchen, the YouTube channel. And I'm seeing that so many of them now have, like, Mandy has a whole line now that of spices that she sells. And I've watched her for so many years just cooking. I think it was like a throwdown. We were throwdown lovers, I believe. Like, her tribe is a throwdown tribe, and she used to do throwdowns. And now, because people really have believed in her as someone who understands her way in the kitchen, someone who has understands her way in terms of like building flavors in the kitchen and all that. The moment she launched her own spice line and spices, people are buying just because it is her. So the goal and how you can make money on social media is to do what some of these people have done. You love cooking. You've been doing cooking videos. Eventually have a plan to productize that. What is productizing? Productizing is like how, as I've said, you start selling maybe meal plans, you start selling, let's say, cookbooks, you start doing cooking classes. Say you are a good photographer and maybe you've started creating content around maybe teaching people how to do simple videography and photography with iPhones, teaching people how to do stills, teaching people how to vlog better. And maybe one day you even do a masterclass for upcoming content creators and charge for it. What you've managed to do is you've managed to productize what you normally do. So that is very, very important. Now, I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can actually, or 3 things that you can start doing so that you can start converting these followers, these eyeballs that you have on your social media platform to clients. Now, the first thing that is very, very important is to have proof of concept. You need to sell what works. Guys, mwache jab. Mwache kutuzia vitu wako kunje. You need to have a proof of concept. Is the product or service that you are selling, that you are providing, actually meeting an existing market demand? Is it solving an existing problem? For example, so many busy women want to have amazing meals in their homes, but then they are too busy sometimes. So if someone is selling a meal prep service, like, I'll give you an example, and msianze kunijudge. One of the services that I very happily pay for is meal prepping services. And I was recommended to this lady. She has an amazing YouTube channel, and she helps people do meal prepping. So I started doing meal prepping. Why? Because it was solving 2 of my problems. Number 1, I realized that when I cook on the go, I'm constantly in and out of the supermarket. I spend more money on my food budget. So the first problem that solved for me is that I am now spending less because I'm meal prepping. I'm also eating out less because I'm meal prepping. But the most important thing is that I'm also saving time. Sometimes, because my job is very unpredictable, in the evening, when I'm supposed to maybe be cooking and preparing a meal for my family, I might end up having or getting a coaching client that wasn't able to come to class during the day because of an 8 to 5 job, but they want to take my coaching classes in the evening. So sometimes 7 p.m. to like 9 p.m., I'm coaching a client and I'm working. And imagine that's the time that I am supposed to be cooking and just preparing like a nice meal for my family. So to avoid all of those issues, then I started paying for a meal prepping service. So you see, that particular creator, that particular person who loves cooking, who's been creating content around cooking, has provided a solution for me. So you must have proof of concept. That is the most important thing to do. And also another thing, please don't scam people. Again, as I've told you, you cannot fake it till you make it for too long. If your product does not work, if your service is, forgive my French, but if your service is bullshit, if it's not getting people results, people will eventually figure it out. So integrity is one of the most important values that you need to operate on social media. If you're not a person of integrity, if you're not an honest person, I know you might probably fool us for 5 years, but eventually we're going to figure out that you're a scam. So please ensure that you have proof of concept. The second thing that you need to do is to create valuable content. And this is something I've seen people struggle with a lot, gatekeeping, okay? If I look at every creator that has been able to build a loyal audience, a big audience, like for me, most people argue that I built especially because my channels or my social media platforms are very almost boring because it's just money talk, budgeting talk. Most people argue that I built my Instagram page, for example, so fast. Why that happens is because I also created valuable content. People were hungry for this content. I wasn't gatekeeping. And I get so many people asking me, Coach, on this YouTube channel, you pretty much give us all the data, all the information. How do you make money? You'd be surprised. As much as I talk about budgeting very openly, freely, very detailed here on social media, there are people who will be so inspired and so challenged by what I've said that they are willing to go the extra mile to pay for a personalized coaching class with me. So when you gatekeep and you think that now hiding or keeping this information to yourself is what is going to, it's almost like you are operating on a scarcity mindset. So for me, I've always been like, if you're on social media, if you're good with photography, give us all the tips. If you're good with money, give us all the tips. If you are going to be doing cleaning videos, cooking videos, whatever it is that you do on social media, just give as much value as possible. Do you know what? Content that is valuable is content that is relatable and content that is shareable. And I'll tell you the superpower of those three things. Valuable content, reliable content, shareable content. Those three things, valuable, relatable, shareable. That is what grows you an organic audience. Because if I find something valuable to me, what will I do? I will save that video. I will save that Instagram post. If I find it relatable, I'll probably follow this person because I feel I'm really vibing. This person is honest and open, and I think they are really speaking to things I'm interested in. Now, let me tell you where the gold is. If your content is shareable, I keep telling people that I've grown my YouTube pages and my Instagram pages without having to pay for ads. I'm not completely proud of that because I know ads have a role to play. But even when I did not have a budget for ads, my audience was doing advertising for me. I think I'm going to put like a screen recording here or some images to show you some of my Instagram posts so that you can see how much my posts are actually being shared. I might actually put up something and I'll have 100 people share that particular post. What has that done for me? Free marketing, guys. I don't have to pay for ads because on top of what I posted, 100 people who follow me reposted on their stories, reposted on their social media or on their WhatsApp status. So even people who didn't know Susan Wanjiku existed have seen that on their friends or their sister's page and they start following me. So I've also been able to grow an organic following, which means also organic customers because I'm not doing gatekeeping. So please do valuable, do share relatable, and also do shareable content. And again, you can do that if you're not the most authentic person. So just be yourself on social media. Ensure that you're passionate about what it is that you're doing and posting about, and you're gonna get the eyeballs so that now those eyeballs can be converted into customers. All right. Now, the last thing you need to do is to niche down. I keep telling people, you're not gonna go very far if you are an online hawker. Now, you guys, who is an online hawker? I'm laughing because I know this might get me in trouble. So an online hawker today is selling us this bag, and we are buying bags. And then the next day, the online hawker is selling us specs from the Urban Tortoise. That's where I get mine. Then the other day, the online hawker is selling us iPhones and whatnot. It's like, we do not, what do you do online? You just, I don't know. I don't understand what your niche is. Again, niching down is very, very important because you want to establish yourself as the go-to person. You want to establish yourself as a thought leader. You want to hone in just one or two things that people will know you for, right? We know Abel Mutuam, Kurugenzi, the storyteller. If I was a business or a company that wants to hire a good storyteller for either an event or an MC, I'm definitely getting him because there's what he's known for. if I wanted to sell like a beauty product and I wanted the content behind the beauty product to be done so well, I'd probably go with someone like Just Joy Candy. Have you guys seen that woman's videos? She puts her heart and soul into selling us Vaseline. I watch her videos and I'll go and buy Vaseline lotion, right? What have these people done? They've niched down, right? I get companies reach out to me and tell me, we want you to sell our money market fund or talk about this personal development projects. Well, how do these people know they will get return? Because people already follow you for that particular thing. There are people who follow people for beauty, for real estate advice, for financial advice, for comedy, for speaking. If you want like an MC or a powerful, confident speaker or orator, you have Caroline Motuko for that. Why are these people known? How have they differentiated themselves from the millions of people, the hundreds of people who are online trying to build a brand or to create a name for themselves? It's because they have actually niched down. So be the go-to person for people in this particular area, niche down. And let me tell you guys, the moment I understood that and I decided that my message is going to be very simple, financial literacy and personal development, it is how I started landing speaking engagements. I've never had an agent looking for speaking engagements for me. I just have, people reaching out to me. Like last year, I did do like an engagement all the way from Dar es Salaam because these people watched my videos on YouTube and they wanted me to go and speak. I've gotten panelist jobs. I've gotten training jobs simply because when someone asks, if we wanted someone to train our staff on personal finance, if we wanted someone to talk about budgeting, if we wanted someone to talk about retirement, who would you recommend to come for this event? And because I've established myself as a thought leader in that area, I niched down, then you're able to get very specific jobs that are in alignment with you. Today has been a mouthful, guys, but generally, I really hope that these pointers were helpful. And in case you need help in strategy, maybe you have a business idea, maybe you are seeing the value of building a personal brand and building a social media presence, but you still have a couple of stones that are unturned or areas you still do not have clarity in. I've opened a couple of few slots for consultations if you want to pick my brain. So I'm going to leave the link to book a Pick My Brain session with me. In case you're interested to have me bounce off some of the ideas that you might have on how to monetize your social media platform or how to build one that can be monetized, you can definitely click that link that I'm going to put down below and pick my brain for a 90 minutes virtual session. Let me know if you found this helpful and impactful, and if you'd like to see more content like this of how you can monetize some of these things like your skills and your social media. I'd really like to get your feedback on the same. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to do the usual, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Till next time.